The fact that there is challenge in getting rewards or even obtaining unlockable characters means there is plenty to discover. Plenty to discover and plenty to do. It can be quite hard to cover the breadth of the content in any one Super Smash Bros. Game such as this, but let's give it a shot. Some of the modes will be familiar to any veteran, such as Smash/Versus mode and Classic mode. The Smash/Versus mode is the typical player match mode where you and other opponents, human or AI, play against each other with the stage and characters of your choosing, with plenty of customizable options, more on that later. The Classic mode is similar to past games where you choose a character and go through a series of stages, plus bonus rounds, only to end up with a final confrontation, usually with Master Hand, a credit sequence and a high score. However, each character's Classic mode is mostly personalized. Instead of featuring a mostly recognizable and repetitive pattern of enemies and locales, is playable in co-op with another person, and has a difficulty or intensity selection that increases with each stage. Beating any one character's Classic mode doesn't take that long to complete, which makes sense given the huge amount of unlockable characters. One of the biggest hypes surrounding any one Smash Bros. Game is what characters are going to be featured. The word ultimate in the title couldn't be more fitting. When it says everyone is here, it's not joking. All of the characters that have been in a Smash Bros. Game in the past are here, with newcomers. Snake wasn't in the Wii U game, but he's back. And the Inklings from Splatoon are here. But how do you go about unlocking these characters like you do in past games? It's hard to deny any veteran would be surprised, like I was, to see you only start the game with the original 8 from the first game. Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Fox, Samus, Pikachu and Yoshi. So, how long does it take to unlock the near 70 remaining characters, not including DLC? And under what conditions? To be frank, it doesn't necessarily take that long. If you do one versus match after another, you should have a big roster in no time. I couldn't even tell what the conditions to unlock specific characters were. This is a deliberate decision by the developers, but it would have been nice to have a little more challenge in unlocking characters, even if it's a select few at the end of it. Surprisingly, beating an unlockable character in a match to have them featured on the roster can be challenging itself due to the aforementioned AI. To remedy that, there is an option to have a rematch, rather than simply going for the challenge, whatever it was, to try the match again. Though you may have to wait or do one or two other matches or something before the rematch can be attempted. Okay, so going through one surely chaotic match after another even to unlock characters is surely fun and the key aspect of the game. But apart from Classic mode, and even other modes such as where you face an army of fighters including the character roster, is there anything for the lone player to sink their teeth into? Well, say hello to the Spirits mode. There's a considerable amount of stuff to cover with the Spirits mode, including its surprising integration with other game modes, but let's start with a big one. The Spirits mode features an adventure mode called the World of Light, which is the closest thing to a story this game has, even to draw comparisons with the Subspace Emissary from Brawl. The premise is simple: an entity named Galeem is basically taking over the world and stuff. The entire roster of characters tries to fight it, but all of them except for Kirby are consumed and are turned into spirits or evil puppet fighters. You control Kirby at first, explore a vast world, mostly drawn with cel-shade graphics and nice differentiation from the rest of the game, and then get to control Mario and other characters as you free them by fighting in a Smash Bros. Match. Many Smash Bros. Matches, some of which can be quite hard. This is a very long mode, especially if you want to go through everything. It has a skill tree. It even features small dungeons, most of which have basic puzzles. You may want to play this mode in short bursts. However, the fact that this mode falls under the Spirit mode does thankfully add a different layer of gameplay to each match. What that means is that each match is more than just simply being the best fighter. There is the simple change, such as a stamina/health bar, which is also in Versus mode, but there are really interesting ones. There are floors made of lava. There are earthquakes. Even opponents get changed up each time, such as holding a certain item or having a certain stance, such as jumping all over the place to avoid so much as a scratch. To combat these, you use spirits. What combination of spirits you use and how you level them up is important. Matches, such as those with a harsh wind, are seemingly impossible unless you have a spirit that features immunity to that obstacle, but it's mostly up to you. Do you favour special move stats? Do you favour starting with a beam sword? Or do you want to challenge yourself by ignoring the rock paper scissors mechanic that is determined by the red, blue and green spirits? Add to all this the possibility of sending spirits into a cave to find treasure, or changing so much as the spirit's basic stat at a dojo to the point where it's probably a bit too much. and you'll resort to having a good old versus match. The overwhelming nature of it is remedied somewhat by the auto-pick feature, which will take account of match conditions for generally good results, so you don't have to spend ages looking for that specific immunity spirit. So the option is there. Additionally, there is the concept of dismissing or summoning spirits. You can get cores by getting rid of spirits, which you may be able to find a duplicate of if you go looking. Cores are required for specific summons, but so are actual spirits that you can lose as a result. Again, the spirits come in duplicates, and through some sacrifices, you can luckily get some cool spirits through a summon. The spirits are also integrated into other modes, plus you don't have to go to the World of Light just to level up spirits and whatnot. Just like characters, spirits are also unlockables. Outside of the World of Light, you can go to the spirit board and have a similar match to that of which can be seen in the adventure. Again, the uses and combinations of certain spirits in these matches is up to you. On the board, however, the spirits you can unlock come and go, especially during certain events the game notifies you of, such as days devoted to Fire Emblem characters. You can also use specific board items to potentially give you an advantage in a match. Due to the unpredictable nature of the board, it can be quite an addictive gamble to get that really cool looking spirit, especially if it's above a novice difficulty. Yikes. You can also get spirits by shopping or playing through the different modes, including classic mode. The final thing to mention about the integration of spirits into the game is the combinations you make can be used in versus mode. And this is where we finally come on to the customization aspects of the game. What sort of match you have is entirely up to you. You can have timed matches, stock matches, matches where you're giant, matches where the only items are Pokeballs to make Pokemon appear all over the place. The options are endless. The aforementioned spirit combinations or teams can be added to your fighter or fighters. Want a match where everyone, or just you, is holding a beam sword and has a higher jump than usual? Spirits will help in that regard. There are a few problems with how you customize matches, which may or may not actually bother you. First of all, to actually decide the rules of a game, you have to lock them into a specific rule set. You can name or re-edit this rule set, and this is a nice inclusion if you have a particular favourite match style you just want to play hundreds of times in a row. But it would have been nice if locking the rule set wasn't mandatory. It's similar to how you choose a court in Mario Tennis Aces, though it probably is a nitpick. Also, the use of spirit combinations effectively replaces the use of alternate movesets from the Wii U game. Now, I don't necessarily have to worry anymore about my friend Cheiji Palutena's moveset to make destroying that Smash Ball easier. Is that cheating? But changing so much as a jump, and especially having an item ready that can be dropped, mind you, make for less changes to characters that you may not like to control or simply want to make more powerful. Sure, there are spirits for magic attacks, such as those of Ness or Robin, but why not have the option to change Pikachu's down special move? The closest you get to doing this is for Mii fighters, and that may not be enough for veterans. And finally, it's strange, and possibly awkward, to get used to the fact that you choose the rule set, then the stage, and not the characters first. Still, the options, including removing stage hazards, and again the huge amount of music tracks that can be unlocked, means that there is plenty to do, even if you're waiting for a spirit on the spirit board, or wanting a rematch with an unlockable character, or going through specific challenges. Well, hope you enjoy parts 1 and 2 of this review, because part 3 is going to be quite a while off. But maybe parts 1 and 2 have hopefully given you a good idea of whether Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is worth getting, playing, maybe as a present. So I'll see you for part 3, where I'm going to talk about more of the game and give my ultimate verdict. Get it? Ultimate? The jokes containing Christmas crackers can't be worse. Wait, I said present, and Christmas crackers. Yes! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to any of you watching, and have a good day or night, whatever it is. Yep, see you next time.